Hi everybody, welcome to Yarn Scrap Friday. This Friday I thought I would do something for those little girls and boys out there who like, without mentioning any famous names or recent films, who might like rather cold little princesses maybe. But this is a great little pattern just to make dolls anyway. So we're going to make this little princess's friend, or shall we rather say sister. So to make this little princess doll, we're going to be using basically 4 colours. You're going to need a colour for the body, so just sort of like whatever colour you want to use for the body, your main staple colour. Then we're going to use 2 different colours for the clothing. For this little princess we used a light blue at the top and then a darker blue at the bottom. For this one we're going to make in this video, we're going to use this green at the top and then this green for the skirt, and then you need some colour for the hair. For that one we used white, and this time we're going to use some sort of brown. I wish this was a little bit redder, but this is all I had. But these are all DK weight yarns, but you can use any yarn weights you like that are similar to that. We're going to be using a 2.5mm crochet hook, which is quite a small hook for those yarns, but it makes it the right size. And it's a good idea to have a pair of scissors and a yarn needle as well. Oh yeah, and it's also a good idea to have a little bit of toy stuffing as well. You probably don't need this much, but some toy stuffing out, or some yarn scraps just to stuff the head and the body and the legs as well. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the head. Take your body colour, your main body colour. In this case we've got like a sort of a creamy brown colour, and we're going to chain 4 to begin. So chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're starting with the head. Once you've chained 4, we're going to slip stitch into our first chain to form a loop. So we're going to put our hook just into that first chain that we did, bring the yarn through that chain and through the loop on your hook to do a slip stitch. And what that does is create a little tiny loop of those 4 chains, in which in the middle, if you can see, probably can't see very well because it's so small, there should be a little hole, and into that little hole we want to work 6 single crochet. So if you can't see the little hole, good idea is to just put your hook roughly in the centre and then push through, and it should naturally find the centre. Then bring the yarn through and do a single crochet, and this is in US terminology. We're going to do 6 of these, so there's 1, let's get back into the middle, 2, back into the middle for 3, another one, 4, five, and 6. And I'm actually using cotton, 100% cotton rather than wool, because it's a bit smoother to work with. But what I will say now on this pattern actually is it's a very fiddly pattern, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to do this on video, so hopefully you guys are watching this and I did manage to achieve it. It's also quite long, so I may have to do it in 2 parts. So if you're a beginner you may not want to do this pattern, but never say never. So when you've got your 6 single crochet, 2, 4, 5 and 6, what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into our first single crochet. So find your first single crochet, and do a slip stitch, so through the stitch and straight through the loop on your hook. So by the end of that first round you should have 6 single crochet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, but to keep it loose, so because we're going to slip stitch into it at the end of the round, keep it loose so we can still see it. We're going to bring up our yarn slightly and then do our chain 1. That keeps it nice and big and noticeable. Then what we want to do is go back into the same first single crochet that we just slip stitched into. So put your hook back into that same single crochet you slip stitched into and do a single crochet. So you've effectively got an increase in there of 2 stitches. Got your 1 single crochet and your chain 1. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet. For some reason this stitch has got really small, so it's not a bit tight, that one. But in the next stitch, bring that through, we're going to do 2 single crochet as well. So we do 1, and then we go back into the same stitch and do 2. And we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around, so we double up our stitch count to 12. So there's 2 in there, then into the next stitch and do 2 single crochet. 1 and 2, and 2 in the next one, 7 and 8, then 2 single crochet in the next one, in the next stitch, 9 and 10, then that should leave you with 1 stitch, and in there we're going to do 2 single crochet as well. So 1 and 2. And then it always looks like you've got another stitch there, but that's what I call a fake stitch. It's there just to confuse you. You should have counted 12 stitches including your chain 1, but just next to that fake stitch that's trying to confuse you is your chain 1, and hopefully you kept it loose enough so we can just slip stitch into there. Okay, let's bring the yarn through and through there. So by the end of that round you should have 12 stitches including your chain 1. Okay, so moving on to round 3, what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 1 again. So bring up your yarn a little bit to keep it loose, chain 1, and this time we're going to go straight into the next stitch. So you don't want to go back into the one you just slip stitched into to join, you want to go into the next stitch, and in that stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet. So 1, and go back into the same stitch and do another one. So you've got 2 in there. Okay, so you chain 1 and then 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Then in the next stitch we're just going to do 1 single crochet by itself. So just the 1. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet again. So next stitch we do 2. 1, and go back into the same stitch, do another one, and you want to repeat that round back to the beginning, doing 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and you should end on 2 single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then I shall come back, and your stitch count should be 18 by the end of round 3, and that includes your chain 1. Okay, so the next stitch we do 1 single crochet, and then we do 2 single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so I'm just coming up to the last 2. So in the second to last stitch we do 1 single crochet, then in the very last stitch we do 2 single crochet. You should always end on 2 single crochet, 1 back into the same stitch. And then we want to slip stitch into our chain 1, so you can see your fake stitch there, and just next to that is your chain 1. So hopefully we kept it loose enough. Yep. And we can just do a little slip stitch to finish the round. So by the end of round 3 you should have a stitch count of 18. And what we want to do now for round 4 is we're going to chain 1 again, keep that nice and loose. Then we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so just 1. So go straight into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet, then 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and you've still got a stitch count of 18 including your chain 1. Okay. Just going up to the last stitch, and then we just slip stitch into our chain 1. Just join the round. Okay. So you should still have a stitch count of 18. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same again, same as round 4, but we're just going to work into the back loops only. So the first thing to do is chain 1, so bring up your yarn, keep it loose, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next stitch, but instead of going through both loops like that for the normal stitch as normal, we're going to go down the middle of the 2 bits of yarn. We're just going to put our hook through the back one and then do our single crochet like so. I'm going to repeat that all the way around, so instead of going through both like that, we're going to go through down the middle and just grab the back one. Just repeat that all the way around, so your stitch count should still be 18. Okay, just come up to the last one again, just working into the back loops only. Then when you're back at the beginning, there's your fake stitch and there's your chain 1. We just want to slip stitch into our chain 1. Like so. You should still have a stitch count of 18, and the reason we do it in the back loops is so we've got these front loops here to sew the hair into. You can see on this little girl, it starts around about there. All shall come clear at the end. So moving on to round 6, we're just going to do the same thing again, but we're just going to work into the stitches as normal. So let's tuck that tail in. So we do a chain 1, bring the yarn up, keep it loose, and then we just go into the next stitch as normal, going through both loops, and do 1 single crochet, and do 1 single crochet in each stitch around as normal, just as normal for both loops. And so you've got so you've still got a stitch count of 18. Okay, let's just come up to the last stitch. So on this round you shouldn't have any ridges or anything, it should just be smooth. And then we just slip stitch into our chain 1 to join. Okay, so it should look a little something like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do, we should still have a stitch count of 18. We're going to move on to round 7 and we're going to start doing some decreases to bring the head in. So again, do a chain 1, bring the yarn up. Then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together, so we're going to go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, but then stop and go to the next stitch and bring the yarn through. So you've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3, that's single crochets 2 stitches together. Then the next stitch we're just going to do a single crochet as normal, so just 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to go back to single crochet 2 together. So we go into the next stitch, pull through, stop. So the next stitch, pull through, so you've got 3 loops, and yarn over, pull through all 3. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet by itself again. Just 1. And then we single crochet 2 together. Then we do 1 single crochet by itself, then we single crochet 2 together, 1 and 2. Then we do 1 single crochet by itself, and then we single crochet 2 together, 1 and 2. Then we do 1 single crochet by itself, and that should leave you with 2 stitches, and we single crochet those 2 together. That's the last stitch. Okay, and then we just want to find our chain 1 and do a slip stitch. Okay, so you can see it's decreased down, and your stitch count should now be back down to 12. Okay, then moving on to round 8, we're then going to chain 1 again to bring our yarn up, do a chain 1, that's a bit loose but let's go with it. Then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together again, so we're going to go into the next stitch, grab the yarn into the next stitch, grab the yarn, starts getting fiddly now, yarn over, pull through all 3. We're going to single crochet the next 2 together as well, so I find it helps to flatten the work, making sure we don't go through the back, obviously just for the stitches we want to. Single crochet the next 2 together. You basically want to single crochet 2 stitches together until you get to the last stitch. So again, flattening the work, making sure to only go through the stitches you want to. Single crochet those 2 together. Let's open it out again, then flatten it again. Single crochet the next 2 together. Oops, not the camera, sorry. And then open it out again, single crochet the next 2 together. Very fiddly. It's even more fiddlier with the camera in front, so I really hope you do get to see this tutorial and I didn't give up. Let's open this out, see. Right, we've reached the last stitch, there's 1 left. Very loud tractor going past. So in that last stitch we just want to do 1 single crochet. Actually I think that's a helicopter, military helicopter. And then we slip stitch into our chain 1, and like I said, if you're keeping them loose you're making them easier for you to find at the end. Okay, so slip stitch into there. Okay, I was going to pull the yarn up for a sec and get my scissors and pop open the little head. So your stitch count now should be down to 7. And what we're going to do now at this point is we're going to stuff our head at this point. So let's get a little bit of our stuffing. And what I do to stuff through a very small hole, the easiest thing to do is just place your stuffing on the top and then use a pair of scissors that are closed, and then use the scissors to push the stuffing into the hole. So it's really easy, much easier than using your finger. Just keep stuffing until you are happy with how firm it is. I like it fairly firm. That sounded wrong. You know what I mean. Okay, so almost there. Probably use all of this. Okay, So when you're happy with your doll so far and the stuffing, we want to, this is where it starts to get fiddly again, we want to rejoin your hook, and like I said, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches including your chain 1, and this is where it starts to get fiddly. But we want to do 2 rounds of just chain 1 and 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and then slip stitch to join, so you've still got a stitch count of 7. So I highly recommend making sure to keep your chain 1 nice and loose so it's easier to see at the end. Then in the next stitch, just 1 single crochet. We're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So 1 for our chain 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one 7, and then we want to slip stitch into our chain 1 to join. So because we kept it nice and big, it's made it nice and easy to find and do a slip stitch. Okay, so that was round 9. Then round 10, exactly the same, chain 1, keep it loose, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so you've still got a stitch count of 7. So chain 1 for 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one 7. But what we're going to do different, I think it's on this round, yes, on this round when we slip stitch, we're not going to slip stitch with the creamy colour. We're going to first of all put our hook in, and instead of yarning over with the skin colour that we're using, we're going to yarn over with the top of the dress colour, which in this case is going to be this green, shade of green here. So I'm just going to plop that over the hook, just hold it with my finger and then bring it through the slip stitch and just pull the tail end. And it's actually, you can actually cut the cream now so it's out of the way. Okay, so then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take the 2 tail ends and tie them in a knot. Nice and tight. And then what you can do is actually stuff those into the neck. To do that, as I just roll them up into a ball as best I can, and then use your scissors again to stuff it. So I'm just going to do that off camera because it's really fiddly with the camera in front, and then I'll come back and show you what to do with the green. Okay, so I've stuffed the tail ends that we just tied together inside the neck, and now we're working with the green. And the first thing to do is we're going to get our stitch count up to 10. So you should still have a stitch count of 7 at the moment. So we're going to chain 1, remember to keep it nice and loose. Then in the next stitch there we're going to do 2 single crochet. It starts to get very fiddly. So we do 1, then we go back into the same stitch and do another, so you've got 2 in there. Then in the next stitch we're just going to do 1 single crochet, so just 1 in the next stitch. Then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet, so go into the next stitch, do 2 single crochet, 1, and go back into the same stitch and do another 2. Then in the next stitch we're just going to do 1 single crochet, then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1, go back into the same stitch and do another one. Then it should leave you with 1 stitch, and then that last one I'm just going to do 1 single crochet. Try my best to keep it on camera. Okay, so then we're going to slip stitch into our chain 1. So there's our chain 1, which is nice and easy to see, and it's also green. Do a slip stitch. So it should look a little something like that. Should have got a little bit bigger. And should have a stitch count of 10 now. And now what we want to do is we want to do rounds 12 and 13, so that's 2 rounds of just chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and then slip stitch to join. So we're going to do 2 rounds of just chain 1, keeping it nice and loose, then 1 single crochet in each stitch around, okay, then slip stitch to join. So I'm going to do that, and then I shall come back. Okay, it's just coming up to the last stitch on the second round, 10, and then we're going to slip stitch to join. But what we're going to do, rather than slip stitch with the green, we're going to rejoin the skin colour. So we'll find our chain 1. So you should have done 2 rounds of chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Then crazy big. Oh yeah, instead of yarning over, don't yarn over with the green or whatever colour you're using. Instead we're going to reintroduce our skin colour and wrap that around the hook instead. And just bring that through both loops. So then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the green. Make sure we cut the green and not the cream. That to the side so it doesn't get tangled, and then take your 2 tail ends. Make sure to keep your hook in there, because when you tighten it, it'll tighten that hole as well. So keep that nice and tight, and then you can just put those tail ends on the inside. It's getting quite dark now, so I'm not sure how much I can carry on doing for today. Not that that'll make any difference to you guys, because it'll just carry on. So shove that on the inside. And now we're working with the cream again, and this is where we're going to start working on the legs. And the legs are the worst part. I really hope I can do this on camera. So we're going to move on to round 14, and we're going to create leg 1 first, which I think is the, I can't remember which leg it is, but we're going to chain 1 to begin. So you should be working with the cream. Chain 1, and remember, keep it nice and loose. Chain 1. Then on top of that, we're going to chain another 2 that we want to keep a bit smaller, just normal size chains. So chain 2 on top of that. So you're effectively chaining 3, 1, 2, 3. Then what you want to do is you want to skip 5 stitches after that. So skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the 6th one, which is on the back or the front, you want to put your hook in that 6th stitch and do a single crochet. But what we want to do is in that 6th stitch, instead of going in like I just did then through both loops, we just want to go into the back loop, so it's even more fiddly. So in that 6th stitch in the back loop only, we're going to do a single crochet. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3, but in the back loop only as well. So in the next stitch, instead of going through it like that through both loops, we're going to go just through that back loop. So I want to do 1 single crochet in that stitch as well, and in the next one, back loop only again. And then in the next stitch, the last one, we want to go into that back loop only as well. So it's all a bit crazy, but you should have a stitch count of 7. Okay, that includes those 4, the chain 2, and then the chain 1 at the very beginning, so the 3 chains in the 4. Then what we want to do, when we get back to the beginning, is slip stitch into your chain 1, and hopefully you kept it nice and loose, and you can do a slip stitch. Okay, so that's the beginning of the first leg. Then we want to do rounds 15, 16, 17, so that's 3 rounds. Let's do 3 rounds now of just chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, including those chains. So I'll show you the first round. Chain 1, keep it nice and loose, chain 1. Then you've got the 2 chains, and they can get really small, so what I recommend is just working them as best you can. So I'm probably just gonna, this is really fiddly to do with the camera in front. Let's see if I can grab any of those chain 2. So it doesn't have to be perfect. So there's 1. Do 1 single crochet in there, and then let's find that second chain. So I'm literally just going through them as best I can, just to make sure I've got my stitch count right. So 1 single crochet in each of those chains. Then we're on to the normal stitch. So if we flatten that down, we can see the normal stitch. My hook in there. Do 1 single crochet in there, and 1 single crochet in the last 3. And the last one 7. And again you want to slip stitch into that chain 1, so hopefully you kept it loose enough. Mine's sort of okay. It's getting really dark in here now. And do a, no, don't want to lose it more, I'm going to go for it again. I think with this pattern you're going to have a lot of patience. Okay, I mean feasibly you could skip the legs. I'll show you the legs on this girl. This is what that is, a bit rude pulling up her skirt, but this is what they look like underneath. You could feasibly just skip those altogether and just have the skirt, but that's up to you. If you really struggle, it's not the be all and end all. Okay, so we've done 1 round of just chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, including those 2 chains. And we want to do that twice more. Okay, so I'm going to do it off camera because it's really fiddly to do on camera. So just 2 rounds of chain 1, 1 single crochet in each stitch around, then slip stitch to join. So you've still got a stitch count of 7. Okay, so I shall do that and I shall come back. Chain 1. Okay, so just coming, it's a lot brighter on this screen than it is in the room. That's good. So just coming up to the last stitch on that last round. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into our chain one, but we're going to join the same green that we've used here, because she's going to have like little shoes on underneath. Okay, so what you want to do, so what I've done is I've just done 2 more rounds of the chain one single crochet in each stitch around. Then my chain one's gone a bit crazy. Okay, put it in there, like so. Instead of yarning over with the cream, we're going to bring back the green. Just lay that over, use my finger to hold it that side, then just bring that through both loops and pull tight. And then same thing again, I'm going to cut the cream, think then. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to do 1 more round of chain 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So bring your hook up, keep it loose, and then just go into the next stitch as normal. Do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So chain 1 for 1, then 2, you still have a stitch count of 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one 7. It's always a bit easier when you've used a different colour to see what you're doing. And then again, slip stitch in your chain 1 to join the round. Through the loop on your hook. Okay, so that finishes that, and what we're going to do is we're going to leave a little bit of a tail just for sewing up the remaining hole at the end, and then we can cut that and then just put it through. And then same thing again with your tail ends, just tie those in a knot nice and tight, and then you can stuff those on the inside of the leg. And yeah, so what we're going to do now is leave that for part 1 for now, and then in part 2 I will show you the remainder, which will be the other leg and the arms pretty much, and then the hairs quite quick. Okay, so join me in part 2 for the rest of the one-legged princess. Cheers guys.